Sherman of California. He's also a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Joins me now from Statuary Hall on Capitol Hill. Let me ask you about your optimism for success coming out of all of this. Having Mr. Kushner helming this effort on the White House's part, are you optimistic about the timing here, that indeed he might be able to make some headway?
It might be worth a shot. It's worth the cost of the airplane ticket or the jet fuel, but no one would give this a better than 50. You know, clearly the chances are well less than 50-50.
Are you satisfied that he knows what he's doing? I said a moment ago he's the White House's chief Middle East advisor. He doesn't have government experience or diplomatic experience. Are you confident that the White House is putting its eggs in the right basket here, I guess, for lack of a better phrase?
We've sent our very best diplomats to the Middle East. They have not been able, although we once came close toward the end of the Clinton administration, to put together a deal. But this team is characterized by its total lack of background, experience, education. You've got not only Jared Kushner, but you have Greenblatt and Friedman. Those are the three that are over there. None of them have any experience in diplomacy, you wouldn't expect that it would work, but again, you know, you can't blame them for trying.
Congressman Sherman, let me take a step back here and ask about the level of engagement you and your committee have with the White House on issues like these. Is there more the White House could be doing to consult with you during, after, and ahead of trips like these?
Every White House, and this is, I believe, the fourth I've served under, could do a lot better in coordinating with our committee. There's a natural tendency in an administration to just want to talk to people that you hired, that you can fire, that are entirely on your team. But I think that we are, due to the formality of the process, we do get input, but I'd like to see more and more informal input.
Let me ask you about how the White House is prioritizing this. Obviously, there's no shortage of foreign issues that it and your committee are dealing with at this moment. Just got a readout from the White House about President Trump's call earlier today with the Crown Prince bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, now the heir apparent to the kingdom's leadership. When you look at the situation in Qatar, when you look at the situation in the Middle East overall, I don't have to bring up North Korea and other hotspots as well. Is the White House prioritizing the right foreign policy issues, do you think?
Well, I'd like to. They are so limited because they haven't filled the spots in the State Department that they can only deal with 2 or 3 issues. So all the issues that are like 10th to 100th on my list are not being dealt with at all and haven't been dealt with for 6 months and aren't going to be dealt with. Obviously, if you're going to work in the Middle East, you want to show at least a dedication to a 2-state solution, an interest in it, and so some attention to that is called for. Qatar and its estrangement from the rest of the Gulf Cooperation Council is very important. And I do think the Middle East is very important, as is North Korea. So I think there's general agreement on what are the 4 or 5 biggest trouble areas in the world. The problem I have with this administration is because they haven't appointed anybody to all those undersecretary and assistant secretary positions in the State Department, that they're not able to deal with issues 10 through 100.
Sir, you're on Twitter. I imagine you keep up with what the president is tweeting from time to time. He tweeted this morning on the heels of that special election yesterday. Democrats would do much better as a party if they got together with Republicans on health care, tax cuts, security. Obstruction doesn't work, is how he closed to that tweet this morning. When you look at the Democratic Party and the role that it's playing, is it too obstructionist? Is it not putting forward enough plans of its own? How much introspection is there among you and your colleagues, Democratic colleagues, to develop and fight for policy positions?
We want to work with the Republican side. For example, I just got out of our California lunch. It's only California Democrats. We want to do weekly lunches with the Republicans, or at least nearly weekly, and getting them on board is almost impossible. If Republicans want a bill that takes 22 million people out of health care, deprives them of their health care, they're not going to get any Democratic support for that. But we can improve health care. We're anxious to work on tax reform. We're very anxious to work on infrastructure. But you can't start with poison pills and defunding Planned Parenthood and expect that you're going to get a lot of Democratic support.
Let me ask you here lastly about the draft that you circulated to your colleagues, a draft article of impeachment here centering on obstruction of justice, and you acknowledged when you did that in a letter to your colleagues, in fact, that these are early days. You encouraged them to work quickly. You think the bar has been met for obstruction of justice. I wonder what your conversations have been like with your colleagues on Capitol Hill about the prospects for going forward with this.
Well, you know, just a day and a half after I did that, Steve Scalise was shot, and that radically changed the atmosphere among us. It's had a big impact on the country, but and just to say, for example, Sandy Hook did, but the impact here in Congress is the impact Sandy Hook had on the Sandy Hook community. That's my way of explaining just how big that event was. And so we are trying to focus on issues that can bring Democrats and Republicans together. That being said, I do think that when you look at Section 1512b3 of Title 18, and you look at the definition of obstruction of justice, and there are several definitions, several different crimes that are identified as obstruction of justice, and you apply that to the testimony of Comey, you reach the conclusion that while future investigations may give you more evidence or more causes, that the evidentiary bar has been met with regard to obstruction of justice. That being the case, this is a very slow and long process, and I know that if the president wants to avoid the calls for impeachment growing in the future, the key would be to provide competent government. It is just this jaw-dropping high levels of incompetency, of misinformation that would drive this forward. So I don't think the president is worried about Brad Sherman, but if we don't get some care in the White House, there'll be a lot more Brad Shermans.
Congressman Sherman, thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's Brad Sherman of the 30th District in California. Joined us. He's a member of the House Foreign Relations Committee, Foreign Affairs Committee as well. Let's get a check on where the markets stand this afternoon with Bloomberg's Taylor Riggs.